Learners of class 11, hope you all are hale and hearty. I welcome you all to this wonderful world of English. Learners, our country India has a rich historical heritage. We have several historical monuments like the Sun Temple, Taj Mahal, Red Fort, Qutub Minar, etc. Tourists from all over the world come to India to visit these monuments. Now there is one more country, Egypt. Do you know what is it famous for? Yes, pyramids. Now the question which comes to my mind is, why were these pyramids built? Yes, for keeping mummies. And now what are mummies? This again is a query. Mummies are the preserved dead bodies. Now you would like to ask me, why did they preserve their dead bodies? Because they believed that there was life after death, and if a person wants to return to this life, he would need the body. Hence, the bodies were preserved. But this needed a huge amount of money. So, it was not for a normal person, because a normal person cannot afford. Only the kings and the nobles could preserve their dead bodies. So today, we'll be discussing about one such king in the lesson Discovering Tut, the saga continues, written by A.R. Williams. It's about the mummy of the last Egyptian pharaoh, Tutankhamun. We shall also discover how and why his mummy went through various investigations. So learners, let's have a glance of the subtext and have an overview of the text. Tutankhamun, known as Tut, was a teenager when he died. Tut was his nickname. He was the last heir of a powerful family that had ruled Egypt for centuries. Tut's funeral marked the end of the dynasty. He was laid to rest, laden with gold, but the details of his death are unclear. After about 3,300 years ago, his tomb was discovered in 1922 by Howard Carter, a British archaeologist. It was the richest royal collection ever found in a tomb. Tut was buried with everyday things he would want in his afterlife. It took months to record all the things found in the tomb, and then Carter began investigating the three nested coffins, one in the other. When Carter reached the mummy, he ran into trouble. The resins used in the rituals had hardened, and Tut was cemented to the bottom of the solid gold coffin. For several hours, mummy was kept outside in blazing sunshine that heated it to 149 degrees Fahrenheit. Nothing budged. The body had to be chiseled away from beneath. To separate Tut from his adornments, Carter's men removed the mummy's head and detached nearly every major joint. After finishing investigations, they reassembled the remains in a wooden box with padding to conceal the damage. In 1968, an anatomy professor X-rayed the mummy and revealed that the breastbone and front rib of Tut's body were missing. The archaeologists have been taking record of the mummies found in Egypt. By 2003, 600 were enlisted and the work is still in progress. With the advent of CT scanner, and that too a portable one, King Tut's mummy was one of the first to be scanned. The CT scan revealed that all the organs of Tut's body were intact. Nothing was missing. Since then, Tut's body rests in peace in his tomb in the valley of the departed kings of Egypt. Learners, we also need to know about the family history of Tut. Tut's father or grandfather, Amenhotep III, was a powerful pharaoh who ruled for about 40 years. His son, Amenhotep IV, succeeded him, and with him started the strangest periods in the history of ancient Egypt. He worshipped Aten, the sun god, and also made the people of his kingdom follow Aten. All other images and temples were destroyed. He changed his name to Akhenaten, the servant of the sun god. He also shifted his religious capital from Thebes to the new city Amarna. After Akhenaten's death, a mysterious ruler named Smenkhare appeared briefly. Then came Tutankhaten. He restored all old laws and ways of life. He started worshipping god Amun and changed his name to Tutankhamun, widely known as Tut. Let's go through the following statements and try to find out whether they match with the text or not, because they'll help us in understanding better. Tut's funerary treasures were recorded in a day. Do you think so? I think it took months to record his treasures. So, is this statement true, or does it match with the text? No, it is not true. Howard Carter was a British archaeologist. Was he? Yes, he was a Britisher. So, this statement stands correct. King Tut was also buried with everyday things he would want in his afterlife. Yes, that is why these tombs were built. So many things which they needed for their afterlife were kept in the tomb. So, this statement is also correct. The next statement is the consolidated material had to be hammered away from beneath the limbs and trunk. Hammered word was not used anywhere. So, which word was used? Chiseled. So, the body had to be chiseled away, and this statement again is incorrect. The next is Amenhotep III, Tut's father or grandfather, was a weak pharaoh who ruled for 4 years. Is it true? No. Amenhotep III was a powerful pharaoh and he ruled for 40 years, 4 decades. So, this statement again is incorrect because it does not match the text. Now, the next statement is the family that had ruled for centuries was coming to an end, said Ray Johnson, director of the University of Chicago's Research Center in Luxor. This statement is true. It matches with the text because Ray Johnson exactly said this. Now, the next is, after checking that no data had been lost, Tut's body was carried back to his tomb. Is it true? Yes, the final test proved that no part or no organ was missing. So, he was laid back to his tomb. Now, the next statement says the $1 million scanner had quit because of the stones in a cooler fan. Was it because of the stones? I don't think so. It was sand that stuck in the cooler fan. So, this statement again is incorrect. Now, we move on to another exercise which will also give a better understanding of the text. On the basis of this exercise, we will understand the text better. Let us find out the most appropriate options to these multiple choice statements. Let us see what is the first statement. King Tut's body has been subjected to repeated scrutiny. I repeat, King Tut's body has been subjected to repeated scrutiny. Now, let us see the options. Option A says to have an account of the funerary treasures. B, to find out the time of his death and its cause. Next option is to find out about his father and grandfather. Fourth option is to find out about God he worshipped. Which one do you think is the correct option? Try to find out. Let's see. The second option is the correct option. It says to find out the time and death of its cause. So, the cause of his death was to be known and the time of the death also was to be known. So, for that reason, the investigations were being made again and again. Now, the second is Howard Carter's investigation was resented. Now, why was his investigation resented? I have some options for you. Let us go through them. Because it resulted in great damage to mummy. The second option is because the artifacts in the tomb were destroyed. C option says because treasures in the tomb were not accounted for. D says because the investigation was not done properly. So, which one do you think is the most appropriate? Right, the first one, because it resulted in great damage to mummy. Now, let us move on to the third statement. The third statement says Carter had to chisel away the solidified resins. Why? The first option says to take away the treasures gilded in the coffin. Next option is to raise the king's remains from the coffin. C option says to damage the body of King Tut. Last option says to take away Tut's mummy. Which one do you think is the correct one? Right, to take away Tut's mummy. Now, let us move on to the next statement. Well, the D statement says the boy king changed his name. Why did he change his name? And what was the name he changed? See the options. The boy king changed his name from Tutankhamun to Tutankhaten, or from Amenhotep III to Amenhotep IV, or from Akhenaten to Tutankhaten, or from Tutankhaten to Tutankhamun. Getting confused? These names, yes. Let us find out which is the correct option. Now, you remember he changed his name from Tutankhaten to Tutankhamun, and this is the right option. So, the D option is the right option. Next statement says a city machine scanned the mummy head to toe. How? Let us see. The first option says, option A is creating 2000 digital X-ray images in cross section. Option B says creating 1700 digital X-ray images in cross section. Option C says creating 1700 analog X-ray images in cross section. creating 1700 digital X-ray images. Now the correct option is, want to guess? Yes, the second option is the correct option, creating 1700 digital X-ray images in cross section. Now let's move on to the next statement. The night of the scan, workmen carried, it also has 4 options. Tut from the tomb in his box, Amenhotep III from the tomb in his box, Amenhotep IV from the tomb in his box, Carter from the tomb in his box. So who was carried? Undoubtedly Tut. So the first statement is the correct one. The first option is the correct one. Next statement says, Tut was also buried with everyday things. Now the options are, he would want in his life, he did not like, he would want in his afterlife, like an umbrella, a football, etc. And the option D says, he would want in his afterlife, like board games, a bronze razor, cases of food, etc. So the first thing is, he needed things for his afterlife, and the things were the bronze razor, etc. So the last option, option D, is the correct option. Let us now move on to statement H. What does it say? Archaeology has changed substantially in the intervening decades. And the options are, for not focusing on treasure and fascinating details of life, focusing more on treasure and not fascinating details. Option C says, focusing less on treasure and more on the fascinating details of life. D option says, focusing more on treasure and less on the fascinating details of life. So with time, the investigations have changed. Now we try to know more about their life. So which option do you think is the correct one? Option C is the most appropriate one, and it goes with the text. Yes, learners, today we went through a new lesson, Discovering Tut, the saga continues. I hope you have understood the text, and after going through the text, we did an exercise of which statement goes with the text and which does not, because that helps in better understanding. And then we dealt with MCQ questions, multiple choice questions, and they also help in better understanding. Now I have one assignment for you since we did the lesson. Now you have to read the lesson thoroughly and try to underline the difficult words or the new words which you came across, because in the next lesson we will be dealing with the new words and new phrases. This is all for today. Goodbye.